Catherine Tubb with me today. She's the Director of Research at Synthesis Capital. Catherine, thanks for being with me. According to your report, you can look at it if you go to synthesis.capital and then scroll to their insights page. And I'll also put the link in here. But you're looking at around 2027, 2028, we'll have 10 to 15% adoption. And that's how you define a tipping point. And you'll see that exponential growth in the 30s. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the tipping point we're saying is between like 10 and 20%. We kind of foresee that really late 2020s, early 2030s, which is a bit later than the Rethink X report, I should note. And I think that's kind of what we see as like the adoption really kind of kicking in at that point. So yeah, and that's what we're still thinking for sure.
Is for the late, I'm sorry, I was doing some tech things behind the scenes. Is for the late 2030s?
No, late 2020s, early 2030s will be when we'll see that tipping point come in between 10 and 20%. So that's kind of, again, from our studies at Rethink X of various disruptions.
Yeah.
That's generally what you see, the key tipping point. And that's when, but the key thing is the adoption may be at 5 or 6 or 7%, but it really does depend not only on that adoption percentage rate, but also the fact that the products are good enough and cheap enough. So that's kind of the other aspect of it for really to see it kind of change exponentially.
Yeah, so that is just so close you can touch it. I mean, that's really kind of amazing. So to think that we will live through these transformations in our lifetimes. But that brings us to innovation, and as you say, bringing down the price and all these things that investment does for the sector. One of my other frustrations is I'm also an angel investor, and I see how angel investors don't really like to invest in infrastructure. It's just not as sexy as going for that great founder who's going to change the world with their brilliant idea that they have yet to execute. So there seems to be, what's your read on investment in the infrastructure that's so badly needed to bring down the cost of production and other things?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some debates about whether we should really be funding infrastructure with equity. But I think how we think about it is, hey, actually, there's 4 things that are really important to get to that tipping point. So as I mentioned several times, cost, products as good as, regulation is also kind of an ever-moving needle, and then obviously kind of investment in capacity. So essentially scaling up. How do we scale up and commercialize these products? So I think how we think about it is it's not just purely going out and building capacity. It's also investing in technologies that also help improve that capacity. So, I think it's just making sure that we're not kind of hitting it by massively going out and building all this stuff, but actually thinking about how can we build it better. So I think that's how we think about it. But for sure, I would say that's probably for the next 3 to 5 years, that's going to be the key thing. It's going to be commercialization and scale up for sure for the industry.